Hello everybody, my name is Eddie Cole and welcome to my channel and welcome to another episode of Eddie's Epic Reviews. Today we are reviewing a game that I recorded a while ago, which is Dark Souls. The first Dark Souls. And as is usual, I'll get the conclusion right out of the way. It's one of the greatest games ever made, easily. Maybe top five even. Maybe even top five. So there you have it. If you don't want to hear my full analysis of the amazing game, you can just have that, and I'll get the rest out of the way now. So first of all, I'll start with the title of this video, which is something along the lines of the most flawed perfect game or something. What I mean with that is Dark Souls 1 especially. Well, all of the Dark Souls games, but Dark Souls 1 because it started this whole Souls trend, did everything wrong that a game could, and thus it became one of the greatest games of all time. It did everything that it did everything that modern games do, and just reversed it completely on its side. For example, you don't have clear saves. You can't save whenever you want to. You have checkpoints which are not usual in modern games anymore. Very punishing combat, which also isn't that common in games these days, except of course in Souls-like games. Uh, but that's kind of what I mean by that it did everything wrong and thus made it great, because it kind of like combined the great things about modern games and retro games. Uh, yeah, that's probably what I mean by that it's the most flawed perfect game. It took some great things from like old games like checkpoints and stuff like that, which in this case are bonfires, and combined with like modern modern combat and modern stuff, which I'll talk about probably now. So firstly, I'll tackle on the story of the game, which in 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 these Souls games, the story itself, like the plot, isn't ever anything too amazing. But it's more the lore and the atmosphere of the whole games which make them so extremely great. The story, for example, in Dark Souls is very simple. You have to click some bells and you get to an Orlando, then you have to get some great souls and then you have to link the fire or let it fade away. That's basically the story right there. But it's not the story that itself makes so great the whole experience. It's the lore more, I would say. Plus the whole atmosphere that you are in a world that is ending and there is still some hope left. There is still hope left, and you can still do something to change the tides. That's probably the most there is to be said about the story of the game itself, because the story isn't like the main focus ever in Souls games. It's more the, well, of course, the amazing gameplay, which I'll go on to probably now, plus the lore. So yeah, about the gameplay. So probably the strongest point of any Souls games, especially Dark Souls 1. And well, I would even say Dark Souls 3 too, but Dark Souls 1's gameplay absolutely fucking revolutionized, well, most of RPG combat and even gameplay to an extent. First of all, I think Dark Souls was a part of inventing like the newer melee combat controls, like especially on consoles, which well, that's quite an accomplishment, and they are definitely, in my opinion, the best controls, best melee combat controls that there are. The combat itself is so absolutely smooth. The parrying, blocking, and dodging, it works like a goddamn waltz. It's I can't describe it. It's amazing how well the game actually flows, I guess. It's better, not flaws, flows. It's the combat is probably one of the things that most people know about Souls games, especially like the first Dark Souls game, because it's very punishing. Yeah, it is very punishing, but I think that's exactly what makes it so extremely great. The feeling that although when you face a hard boss, for example, for the first time, you think that there is absolutely no chance of you getting ever past that, but you will. You will get past that. That's what Dark Souls is. There are two things that Dark Souls is, in my opinion. Three things. Dark Souls is praying. Dark Souls is finding meaning in a meaningless world, and Dark Souls is getting over impossible obstacles. That's what Dark Souls is, and the third one of those I think is very well presented in the combat of the game. It is so punishing, but it's mostly so very fair, and that's what makes it so great. It is hard, but it is fair, and it is punishing, but it is fair. Well, then I guess one of the most well, every single thing about Dark Souls 1 is a high point, but one thing that I would probably at least like to discuss is uh, the soundtrack of the game. Every single Souls game has an absolutely amazing soundtrack. I haven't completed Bloodborne, so I don't really know about that. But it kind of says something because I think that Dark Souls 1 actually has the worst soundtrack of the Souls games, like from Software Souls games. And yet it is one of the greatest video game soundtracks I have ever heard. Ever. Some highlights would be probably well, especially I like the DLC tracks a lot, like Artorias and Manus, for example, are really great. And well, Sif's theme is so somber and amazing. And talking about somber themes, I legitimately would say, as a piano composer, I do piano songs quite often. Win Lord of Cinder is one of the greatest piano tracks I have ever heard. And I'm not even talking about like video games or media itself. I am legitimately saying that for the many thousand of years of music and the like 300 or 400 years of piano music, there might have never been a track as great as Queen Lord of Cinder that has been purely made with the piano. That's my full statement about that song. Uh, it's the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Every single like I would say every single one of the songs in the soundtrack are really good, but those are just some of the best ones. I feel like I'm dying over here. I'm constantly like I don't know what's going on in my throat. The world is just absolutely wonderful. It's probably my favorite map of all of the Dark Souls games. Honestly, is in the first one. Although there are a couple of places that are not that well designed. For example, I didn't really well. No one liked Lost Isolate. That's uh, let's just be honest. No one likes Lost Isolate. Uh, the new Londo I felt like was kinda dull, I guess. But other than that, all of the areas in the game are absolutely wonderfully designed and just how free it is. Although it's not like a completely open world, it's like a semi-open world game. it's so amazingly done. Like, although it's not like fully open world, it's like still kind of open world because you can go literally anywhere you want within, of course, the paths of the game. You don't have to follow a certain path when you start the game. Of course, you should probably go to the undead perk, but for example, I went to the catacombs because I'm an amazing gamer. Well, I died, but then I went back. uh, like there aren't many cons I could even talk about in the game, or at least I can't think of any. Like maybe the area design in very specific single areas. And I've always thought that Souls games themselves could have like some more optional areas, although they already have a ton. That's not even like a complaint. That's more of a nitpick. Like I can't see anything that wouldn't make the game absolutely amazing. It's just holy fuck. Yeah, it's one of the greatest games ever made. That's my conclusion. Uh, yeah, I already said what Dark Souls is. Dark Souls is praying. Dark Souls is finding meaning in a meaningless world, and Dark Souls is getting over impossible obstacles. Now that we've gotten over this, let's go and put this on Eddie's epic meter. So here we are at Eddie's epic meter, and you know, this is going to be strange. I am going to give Dark Souls a very strange place here in Eddie's epic meter. I think around here is where Dark Souls 1 belongs. So what that means is Dark Souls 1 is I guess this is the color of that. Dark Souls 1 is it's 100 plus out of 100. What that means is that although there are some flaws in the game, like 100 out of 100 would be a flawless game. Uh, but what that means is that Dark Souls Dark Souls 1 is a game that although it has flaws, it definitely has flaws. Those flaws are so like overpowered by the great things in the game that they don't even really matter that much. And that is why Dark Souls 1 receives a full hun- hold up 100 plus as its score. Yeah, that is where Dark Souls 1 ranks. I guess I should probably actually make this a little longer now. No, not there. Hold up, this might take a second. Aha. Yes. There. 100 plus is what I'm going to give Dark Souls. There are kind of flaws, I guess, but all of those flaws are so overpowered by the great things in the game that they don't even matter that much. And that is why Dark Souls 1 is one of the greatest games ever made. So, thank you for watching. Thank you, and goodbye.